When a peaceful alien civilization sent a desperate SOS into the void, they never expected humans to answer. Known across the stars as the terrifying Deathworlders, resilient, unpredictable, and powerful humanity responded not with conquest, but with compassion. This is the story of how hope soared from fear, and how humanity proved it was more than the galaxy ever believed. From the story, aliens cried for help. The mighty Deathworlder fleet answered the call. The wind on Tel Mora used to be soft and warm. It would gently pass through the silver trees and make their leaves sing. For the Lorine people, the sound of the wind was a comforter, quiet song of peace and life. But now that wind was dry and strange. It carried dust, not song. It left silence, not peace. Lulo sat near the edge of the high cliff, his small legs hanging over the ledge. He looked down at what was once a wide green valley. Now, it was cracked and gray. The trees were gone. The birds had flown away months ago. He missed them. He missed a lot of things. Most of all, he missed Zura. Zura had been his best friend, someone who laughed at his silly jokes, someone who shared her food when he forgot his lunch, someone who believed he could be brave even when he didn't believe it himself. But Zura had left. Her family had flown away on one of the last ships to the inner colonies, where the air was clean and the land still grew things. Her parents had called it a chance to live. But to Lulo, it felt like a goodbye with no return. She had promised to send messages, and she did for a while. The storms made communication hard. Some messages arrived broken, others never came. Then, one day, nothing came at all. That was 4 cycles ago. And now, Lulo felt distant from everything: his friends, his home, and even from himself. Inside the central dome of the city, the elders spoke in hushed tones. The dome flickered with failing power. Air filters coughed and wheezed like tired animals. The Lorine had never been a strong species, not like the Deathworlders the stories spoke of. They didn't build weapons. They didn't fly warships. They sang. They grew gardens. They cared for one another. But none of those things could stop the sickness in their skies now. Elder Valori, her back bent and voice soft, stood in the center. She held a small metal cube, the emergency beacon. It had been there for generations, never used. No one even knew if it still worked. This, ... may be our only hope, she said. Some elders argued, what if it brings danger? What if it brings the Deathworlders? But Valora's voice was steady. What if it brings help? The vote passed. They sent the signal, and across the stars it moved slow, quiet, and unnoticed by most. But not by all. Lulo watched the night sky, alone. He used to watch it with Zura. She would point out shapes in the stars and give them names like big-tailed mouse or jumping feather. He tried to find those shapes now, but all he saw were clouds. Then a flash, not a shooting star. Something bigger. Squint. Another flash, and 2. Then 10 stars weren't supposed to move like that. Stars didn't come closer. He ran to the village square, where others were already gathering. Elder Valori stood at the center, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. A low sound rolled through the sky. Not thunder, not wind. Something deeper, like the breath of a giant. Lights broke through the clouds. Shapes, black, smooth, and huge. Flying metal beasts? Ships? They came, someone whispered. But no one knew if that was a good thing. The first ships didn't land. They hovered far above. A soft hum spread across the air. A field of tiny dots dropped from the largest ship silver. Seeds, no bigger than birds. They landed gently and began to unfold. Machines, but not war machines. They planted rods into the soil. They released steam into the air. They blinked blue lights and scanned the ground. Then more came. Small flyers carrying food, water, filters, things the Lorine hadn't seen in cycles. No soldiers, no loud voices, only help. Lulo hid it first. He watched from the tall rocks. One human tall, wearing strange clothes, knelt down to adjust one of the machines. His hands moved carefully like a gardener. Another human handed out small glowing boxes that cleaned water still. Lulo felt unsure. They were Deathworlders. Everyone said Deathworlders were dangerous. Everyone said they didn't feel the way others did. But Lulo saw something different. He saw one of the humans stop and help a Larian elder sit down. He saw another one play music from a small device, soft and gentle, almost like their tree songs. Were these really the same people the stories warned them about? Later that evening, as the new air filters began to work and a soft breeze returned to the village, Lulo finally stepped forward. He walked toward a human who was repairing one of the machines. The man looked up and smiled, not a big smile, but a quiet one, like he didn't want to scare him. Lulo said, "Hi," the man replied. "Hello." There was a pause. Lulo looked at the sky. "Did you come because of the signal?" The man nodded. "We heard you, so we came." Lulo's eyes filled with tears, not of fear, not of sadness, but of something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. He thought of Zura. He didn't know where she was now, maybe. She didn't know what happened to their world. Maybe she thought they were all gone, but now maybe she would hear. Maybe the whole galaxy would hear, the Deathworlders had answered. Not with weapons, not with power, but with kindness. And Lulo, the boy who once sat alone on the cliff, no longer felt distant. He felt seen. He felt heard. Human. The Earth was quiet that night. Commander Ray Kessler stood alone in the observatory at Luna Base, watching the stars through a wide, clear window. The stars were bright, but distant, just like her thoughts. She held a warm mug of tea, but the warmth did not reach her heart. She felt alone. It had been 2 years since her sister June had left Earth. June was a biologist, part of the Terraform Corps. She had accepted a long mission on the distant planet Corvax, helping repair dying ecosystems. The mission was noble, important, and far away. They used to talk every week, then every month. Then the silence came. The last message had been short. "I miss you. The trees here glow blue. You'd love it." That was almost 6 months ago. More messages came after that. Ray told herself it was normal. Long-distance connections could break. Maybe June was busy. Maybe the signals were lost. Still, a quiet worry stayed inside her chest, like a small, cold stone, and it made Ray feel far from her sister, from her past, from herself. But that night, something strange happened. A soft alarm blinked on her wrist tablet. A low signal, barely readable, was coming through the deep relay. Ray put her tea down and walked to the central console. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. The signal was old centuries-old tech, low band, not used by most modern species anymore. She frowned. "Emergency beacon, unknown origin. Priority status." She tapped into the translation. "Lair." The words were slow, broken, but clear. "To any who hear. We are the Larian. Our world is dying. We do not know if this call will reach anyone, but we hope. Please, help us." Ray froze. She had read stories about the Larione in old records. Peaceful, artistic, soft-voiced. Their world, Telmora, was in the rim systems. Not much was known about them, and now they were crying out. She looked at the screen. The signal was weak, almost gone, but it had made it through. Across light years of cold silence, their whisper had touched Earth. Something inside her stirred. That small, cold stone in her chest began to warm. This was a cry for help, and she was someone who could answer it. Within hours, Ray was at the command hall. The United Human Fleets Council gathered quickly. Some spoke with doubt. "It could be a trap. Telmora is far. Sending a fleet would be costly. We don't even know if the message is real." But Ray stood tall and firm. "What if it is?" she asked. "What if a gentle world is dying? And we do nothing?" "That it's not who we are." Some in the room remembered the old fears that humans were still seen by many alien races as Deathworlders, dangerous beings from a rough planet. But Ray believed in something else. We have the strength to harm, she said. We choose to heal. Let this be the moment the galaxy remembers that. The council fell silent. Then, slowly, one by one, they nodded. Ray walked out of the room that day not just as a commander, but as a leader of hope. She personally selected the mission crew's scientists, doctors, engineers, translators. No weapons, no armies, just help. Among the crew was Andre, a quiet technician who once helped rebuild schools on a shattered moon. Also Dr. Yenna, a botanist who cried after reading the Larian S message. And Navin, a young pilot who carried a photo of his grandmother on every trip. Each person had their own reason. Each person carried a memory, and each one carried hope. As the fleet prepared to launch, Ray returned to her quarters. She opened an old storage chest. Inside was a small pendanta gift from June before she left. Ray held it in her hand. I don't know where you are, June, she whispered, but maybe helping them will help me feel close to you again. The day of departure came. 5 aid ships, painted with bright peace symbols, lifted off from Earth and climbed into the sky. They passed the moon, past Mars, past the edge of the solar system, as the stars stretched before them. Ray looked through the window again. This time, the stars didn't feel so distant. Weeks passed in deep space. The crew worked together, training, testing equipment, studying Telmora's history. They laughed, they cried, they shared stories. Ray spent her evenings reading every message ever recorded from Telmora. She learned their poems. Lulo stood near the edge of the cliff again, but this time, the sky looked different. The large ships hovered silently above his world. Their shadows stretched across the land like giant blankets. Strange machines now moved across the ground, humming softly and releasing clean mist into the air. Slowly, the sky was turning blue again, and the dry wind carried a new scent, fresh, like rain before it falls. Still, Lulo felt something heavy inside his chest. Even with help arriving, he missed Zura more than ever. She had been his best friend, his only friend during the worst days of sickness and storms. When the plants died, when his school shut down, and when many families fled to other planets, Zura had stayed with him. Until her family left too. Lulo didn't blame her. But her leaving had left a space inside him that nothing could fill. He wanted to send her a message to tell her that the skies were clearing, that help had come. But their village still didn't have long-range communication. The old system had broken cycles ago, and the humans hadn't repaired it yet, so all he could do was weigh, and wonder if she remembered him at all, in the valley below. Human workers set up small buildings, some of them wore bright suits, others moved slowly, speaking carefully to the Lurine. One of them was the technician named Andre. He was always smiling.
Ow!
Even when he was tired. He used simple tools and strange floating lights to fix broken systems. Every time Lulo watched him work, it reminded him of how Zura used to build things from scrap, to make him laugh. Lulo stayed quiet for many days. He didn't know how to talk to the humans. They were so tall, so strange, and they spoke a little too fast. But one afternoon he saw Andre sitting alone beside a broken generator, his hands on his head. He looked ... sad. Lulo had never seen a human look that way. He slowly stepped closer and spoke softly. "Are you okay?" Andre looked up, surprised. Then he smiled, tired but kind. "Hello there. You speak our language?" little Lulo said. "Are you ... broken?" Andre laughed gently. "Not broken, just ... a little lost." Lulo tilted his head. "Lost? You were here." Andre looked at the horizon. "I'm here, yes, but part of me is far away." Lulo sat beside him. The ground was warm. "Someone you miss?" Andre nodded. "My brother. We stopped talking a while ago. Then he left. For a colony job, no messages since." Lulo looked down. "My friend left too. I don't know where she is. Maybe she forgot me." Andre turned to him. "I don't think people forget the ones they truly care about. Even when they're far." Lulo said nothing. but the words settled deep in his heart. The next day, Lulo helped carry small tools to the human camp. He didn't say much, but Andre always gave him a nod and a gentle thank you. One morning, Lulo asked, "Why did you come here?" Andre thought for a moment. Because someone asked for help. And when someone asks for help, we answer. That's what humans try to do, even for strangers, Lulo asked. Andre smiled, especially for strangers. Lulo stared at him. You're not like the stories. Andre chuckled. What stories? The ones that say Deathworlders destroy things, that you fight everything you meet. Andre scratched his beard. We've made mistakes. Humans come from a hard planet, but we learned we don't want to be feared. We want to be ... useful. That word useful echoed in Lulo's mind. For a long time, he had felt small and useless. Too young to help, too quiet to lead, too alone to matter. But maybe, just maybe, he could be something more. That evening, a light rain fell. The first in many months, the machines had helped repair the sky's balance. Lulo ran into the open arms wide, letting the drops touch his face. He laughed. For the first time in a long time, he laughed. Andre saw him and joined. They danced in the soft rain like children. Other villagers came out too. The elders watched from the windows, smiles on their faces. It was a small miracle, but it felt. Like everything, the next morning, Lulo woke up early. He had an idea. He went to the old message tower. It was broken, its lights dead. But inside was a box filled with memory crystals, tiny glowing stones used to hold words and songs. He picked up one and whispered into it. Jur. If you ever hear this. I'm still here. The sky is blue again. Humans came. They helped. I hope you're safe. I hope you didn't forget me. I didn't forget you. He carried the crystal to Andre. Can this go with your next ship? Lulo asked. Andre gently took it, his eyes soft. Yes, I'll make sure it finds its way. And with that small act, Lulo's hope lit a path into the stars. He still missed Zura. Andre still missed his brother. But neither of them felt alone anymore, because even when someone is far away, the heart can still reach them through words, through memories, and through kindness. That is what it means to be human. That is what it means to believe. Asterisk, it had been 3 weeks since the human fleet arrived on Telmora. The sky was clearer, air was fresher, and people were smiling again. But deep inside Commander Ray Kessler, something still felt ... empty. She stood outside the main human camp one morning, watching the silver clouds drift slowly over the green hills. The land looked peaceful, but her thoughts did not. She missed June, her sister. It wasn't just about not hearing from her for months. It was the feeling that something between them had been lost. June had left Earth full of dreams, but they'd argued before she left. Ray had wanted her to stay. June had wanted to go. Neither of them had said goodbye properly. Now Ray didn't even know if June was safe. She didn't know if June still remembered her or if the silence between them had become permanent. Even as Ray led the mission to help an entire alien world, she felt distant from the one person who had always understood her best. The village of Telmora was slowly rebuilding. The Larinae elders had started opening meetings to the humans. Trust came slowly. Elder Valori, wise and gentle, welcomed Ray into the meeting dome that morning. Ray bowed politely. You have brought life back to our skies, the elder said, but there is still fear in the hearts of many. Ray nodded. I understand. We only want to help. Velor looked at her with calm eyes. Then help us know you. The request was clear. It wasn't just about technology or machines. The Larinae wanted to understand who the humans weren't as workers, but as people. That night, Ray called a quiet meeting with her team. Tomorrow, she said, we open the bridge. The next day, in the center of the village square, the humans set up a small table. On it were simple things: a bowl of fruit from Earth, a music player, paper and pencils, a holoscreen, and a large board with the word hello written in many languages. Lulo arrived with his father. Others followed slowly, curious but unsure. Andre stood next to Ray and played soft music from Earthen, old melody with a piano and wind sounds. It was calm. Kind. Ray picked up a pencil and began to draw on paper just small shapes. A mountain, a moon, a face. Lulo stepped forward and drew. Beside her, a tree, a bird, a star. Others followed. Words were not needed. Smiles were. Later that afternoon, a child from the village brought a glowing flower. She offered it to Dr. Yena, who cried quietly and thanked her. The bridge was being built not with stones or wires, but with kindness. That night, as the village lights flickered under the open sky, Ray walked alone again. She held a small photo of her sister in her hand. The day June had left. They had stood in the spaceport and said too little. Ray had crossed her arms, hiding her hurt. June had looked back only once. Ray whispered now into the air, "I should have told you I was proud of you. Should have said I loved you more." Her voice shook. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. Andre walked up beside her. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "No," she said. "Just thinking." "Still about your sister?" Ray nodded. "Yes. I wonder if she thinks I've forgotten her." Andre looked up at the stars. "Funny, isn't it? We travel across space to help strangers, but sometimes the people closest to us feel furthest away." Ray sighed. "I wish I could fix it like we fix machines." Andre smiled gently. "Sometimes. Just letting them know you still care is enough." Ray looked at him. "What if they don't answer?" Andre placed a hand over his chest. "Then your heart knows you tried." The next morning, Ray went to the communications tent. She found an open frequency, and using a simple handheld recorder, she began to speak. "June, ... If this finds you, I want you to know I'm on Telmora." We answered a distress call.
Oh.
"The people here are kind and gentle. You would love the plants they sing when the wind moves through them." She paused. "I never told you how much I admire your courage. You left to heal worlds. I was afraid of losing you. That fear made me quiet when I should have spoken. I never stopped thinking of you." Her voice grew softer. "I hope you're safe. I hope you're happy. I hope we find our way back to each other someday." She ended the recording and placed it into the fleet's long range. Message archive. It would travel with the next relay ship, and with it her hope. In the village, the Larione built a small circle of stones and flowers, a place of peace and reflection. They called it the Bridge Garden. One stone had a word written on it in both their language and human English. Connection. Lulo visited the garden every day, sat there with a new notebook, drawing pictures and writing small messages. He said they were for Zura, just in case she ever returned. Even if she never sees them, he told Andre, "I'll still write, because I care." Andre smiled. "It's a very human thing to do." Lulo tilted his head. "But I'm not human." Andre patted his shoulder. "Don't have to be. Caring doesn't belong to just one species." Lulo looked up at the sky, somewhere far away. The valley of Telmora was changing. Green leaves were returning to the tree branches. Small blue flowers bloomed again on the hills. The rain came more often now, soft and cool. The air no longer smelled like dust, it smelled like life. Lulo walked beside Andre through the village. Machines hummed in the distance, gathering clean water and restoring the soil. Human engineers worked quietly beside Larina healers, fixing both land and lives. It felt like a new beginning, but inside Lulo, something still felt unfinished. He thought about Zura every day. He remembered the small carvings she used to make. Out of stone, the way she hummed tunes when they walked through the old gardens. He kept some of her drawings folded in his satchel creases, worn from being opened. So many times he still hadn't heard from her. No message, no reply. Some days he wondered if she had simply moved on. But something inside him whispered, "Wait. Believe." In the human camp, Dr. Yena studied Telmora's plant life. She had soft eyes and spoke kindly, often writing long notes in her journal. One day, she noticed something unusual. "These vines," she said to Ray, They move slightly when people are near, not just from wind, something else. Like, they single quotes, Ray, raised an eyebrow. Listening? Dr. Yina nodded. I think they communicate underground. Through roots, through energy, like a song beneath the soil. The Larina elders agreed. They had spoken of this before, of the Earth's gentle voice. But their science had never been strong enough to study it. The humans had tools. The Larinae had knowledge. So they decided to work together. They built a small station on the edge of the forest. It was half wood, half steel. Lulo was invited to help. He had always listened closely to the trees. As a child, he would sit with his ear to the ground, saying he could feel the heartbeats of the roots. Now Andre gave him a special device. It was simple, just a sensor with glowing lights. You press this, he explained, and it will record the signals. Lulo nodded. What do I do with it? Andre smiled. You do what you've always done. Listen. Days passed. Then weeks, they gathered data from the roots, sounds from the trees, and patterns from the soil. What they discovered amazed everyone. The plants weren't just surviving, they were responding to kindness in areas where people walked gently, where songs were sung, or where laughter was shared. The roots pulsed more strongly.
Ow.
The trees grew faster. The flowers bloomed brighter. Ray stood in the forest one morning, holding a small recorder. You mean, she asked, the earth itself listens to our hearts? Dr. Yina smiled. It might not understand our words, but it feels. How we treat each other. That afternoon, Lulo sat alone near the garden. He missed Zora the most when things were beautiful. He wished she could see the flowers, hear the music the humans brought, meet Andre and Dr. Yena, feel hope again. He picked up the message crystal he had made earlier and held it in both hands. Where are you, Zira? He whispered. I wish I could tell you that we're okay, that the world is healing, that I miss you. His voice cracked. I don't know if you'll hear this, but I'm going to keep trying. Andre sat beside him. Still no message? He asked gently. Lulo shook his head. Andre looked up at the sky. I once thought my brother forgot me. I waited months for a message that never came. I told myself it didn't matter. But it did. What changed? Lulo asked. Andre smiled. I finally wrote him, not expecting anything, just ... Needing to speak? Lulo asked. Did he reply? Andre nodded slowly, not at first. But then one day, yes. He told me he missed me every day. He just didn't know what to say. They sat in silence. Then Lulo asked, Do you think Zura's waiting too? Andre gently placed a hand on his shoulder. If she's anything like you, then yes. Inspired, Lulo ran to the human camp the next morning. He spoke to Ray. Can you send something to the colony where Zura went? Ray thought for a moment. We can't send messages directly yet, but we're building a new relay station with the help of your elders. Once it's done, we'll connect with many nearby colonies. Lulo's eyes lit up. Can I help build it? Ray smiled. Of course. It's your voice we're trying to carry. For the next week, Lulo worked harder than he ever had. He carried cables, stacked supplies, and placed crystals inside the relay unit. Everyone on the team saw his spirit.
Oh.
No one needed to ask why he worked so hard. They felt it. On the final day of construction, the machine glowed blue. A soft hum filled the air as it came to life. Ray placed a hand on the console. We're ready to send messages. Lulo stepped forward. He placed the message crystal into the slot. The machine blinked. His words, his heart were sent into the stars. He didn't know when or if Sura would hear it. But now, he had hope, not just because of technology, but because people human and Larina had worked together, listened together, and built something beautiful together. They had created more than a signal. They had built a bridge. That night, under a sky full of stars, Andre gave Lulo a notebook. The cover said, Keep writing. Lulo opened the first page and wrote, Dear Zura, you once said nothing beautiful lasts forever. But maybe you were wrong. Maybe it just needs help. Maybe it just needs someone who cares. He looked up at the sky again. Somewhere. Maybe Zura was looking too. Asterisk, the days on Tel Mora were peaceful now. The sun rose gently across the green hills, and flowers swayed with the morning breeze. The machines that once roared now hummed softly, as if whispering a lullaby to the earth. Children laughed again. Elders smiled. The sky had healed. The air was clean. The forests sang again. But inside Lulo's heart, a question still stayed. Had Zura heard him? He sat under a tall silver leaf tree, watching clouds pass slowly above. In his lap was the notebook Andre had given him. He had written something in it every day. Letters to Zura, thoughts, dreams. Some days the words flowed like a river. Other days, only silence came. He flipped through the pages. Dear Zura, do you still hum when you're nervous? I do. I hummed when I helped build the message tower. Day 7, dear Zura, it rained yesterday. Real rain. I caught a drop in my hand and wished it would carry my words to you. Day 12, dear Zura, no reply yet. But I believe you're out there. I believe you miss home too. Day 18, Lulo closed the book. He looked toward the message tower in the distance. It stood strong, shining under the sun. They had sent many signals, now news. Thanks, greetings. The humans said they would soon hear back from the outer colonies, but still, no message from her. He felt a quiet ache inside. Not pain, just ... longing at the human camp. Andre packed tools into a small case. Final system check complete, he said to Ray, smiling. Ray looked up from her datapad. Everything ready for return? Andre nodded slowly. Yes, but ... She raised an eyebrow. But he hesitated. I'm not sure I want to go. Ray looked at him closely. You've made strong connections here. He smiled gently. I've found peace, a purpose, and a little boy who reminds me that hope can survive anything. Ray walked to the window, watching the Laranay children play near the garden. You know, she said softly, the fleet offered me a post back on Earth, but I turned it down. Andre blinked. You did? She nodded. I've spent so long helping others from a distance. I think it's time I stayed close for once. Andre smiled, and maybe we both stay. That evening, Ray gathered the remaining crew. Some would return to Earth, some would go to other missions, but 5 of them including. Ray and Andre chose to stay, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. They had built more than systems. Here they had built belonging. Lulo heard the news the next morning. Andre walked up to him and handed him a small box. Inside was a Tula data crystal writer. So you can keep sending messages, Andre said. Even after the big ships go. Lulo looked up, his eyes wide. You're not leaving? Andre shook his head. Not anymore. Lulo tried to speak, but no words came. His heart was full. He nodded and hugged Andre tightly. In that moment, the ache inside him grew lighter. Someone had stayed that afternoon. Lulo returned to the message tower. He sat alone, the crystal writer in his hands. He recorded a new message. Dear Zura, the humans helped fix our sky, but someone else helped fix my heart. His name is Andre. He taught me that even if someone is far away, the way we live, the way we care, can still reach them. Then smiled softly. I hope you're safe. I hope you're happy. And if you ever come home, I'll be here, waiting, with a garden full of songs. Love, Lulo. The next day, a small human ship took off into the sky. It carried messages, reports, and stories of healing, of kindness, of a bridge built across worlds. As the engines faded into the clouds, Ray stood beside Elder Valori in the village square. You've given much, the elder said. Ray looked at the garden where Laranay and humans worked side by side. So have you. Valori smiled. We were afraid when your ships came. Now we are glad. The Deathworlders did not bring fire. They brought hands that lifted us. Ray's eyes shimmered. We were also afraid. But your world reminded us of something we Sometimes forget. Valory tilted her head. And what is that? That even the strongest hearts need gentleness. Even the mightiest hands can be soft. Later that night, Lulo sat by the river. He opened his notebook to a fresh page. He began to draw a picture of his village's small house, a garden, and a tree full of songbirds. Then he added two figures, a boy and a girl standing side by side. He wrote under it, "Someday." Was the stars rose high. The message tower blinked once. Then again, a small light, signal, a message had come. The words were few. The morning sky over Telmora was soft and bright. Birds flew between the trees. The air was clean. Flowers grew in the garden again, but Lulo's heart beat fast with nervous excitement. Today was the day. Zura was coming home. She had sent a message. 2 weeks ago, her voice full of joy and surprise. She had finally received all of Lulo's recordings. Every letter, every drawing, every word he had spoken into the crystals. She had not forgotten him. She had missed him too, and now she was. Coming back, Lulo stood on the hill near the landing area where human and Lorine ships often arrived. He waited with Andre, who stood calmly at his side. "Do I look different?" Lulo asked, tugging at his shirt. Andre smiled. "You look taller, wiser, stronger?" Lulo laughed nervously. "What if she doesn't remember all the little things? Like the songs we used to sing, or our secret handshake?" Andre looked at him kindly. "If she remembers your heart, the rest will come back." A gentle hum filled the sky. A small ship floated down through the clouds. Lulo held his breath. The ship landed. Steam hissed around the door. It opened slowly, and there she was. Zura stepped out wearing a light gray jacket. Her hair was longer. Her eyes looked older. But her smile, that smile hadn't changed. She looked at the crowd, searching. Then her eyes found Lulo. She stopped. So did he. For a moment, neither moved. Time felt still. Then Zura ran to him. Lulo dropped his satchel and ran too. They met in the middle and hugged. Tightly, not a shy hug, not a quick one. A deep, strong hug filled with everything they couldn't say for years. "I missed you," Lo whispered. "I missed you more," Zura replied. Later, they sat under the same silverleaf tree where they used to read books and tell stories. "I listened to all your messages," Zura said softly. Every word. Lulo looked down. "I didn't know if you would ever hear them." "I almost didn't," she said. "The place we lived didn't have good signals. But when the humans helped install a relay, your voice was the first one to come through." Lulo blinked back happy tears. "I kept hoping, I know," she said. "Your hope kept me strong too." That evening, the village held a celebration. People from Earth and Telmora gathered together. There was music, dancing, and laughter. Children from both worlds shared games and stories. Food was passed around. No one talked about fear or sadness. Just joy and thanks. Ray stood beside Elder Valory and watched the happiness spread. "This world is alive again," Ray said. Valory nodded. "Because your kind didn't bring power. You brought heart." Across the garden, Andre sat by a small fire, watching Lulo and Zura laugh with other children. He smiled quietly. He had once felt distant from his brother in spoken words, lost time. But now, here, on a faraway planet, he had found new connection, new family. He pulled out his datapad and recorded a simple message. "Hey, Marcus. I'm still here, I hope. You are too. I miss you. Let's talk again." He pressed send. The message joined others, floating through space. Days passed. Then weeks. Cura stayed. Her family had returned to bringing tools and knowledge from the colony. They helped build schools, planted new trees, and reopened the village library. Zura and Lulo were always together, reading, exploring, laughing again. But one day, as they sat beside the river, Zura looked quiet. "What is it?" Lulo asked. "I feel happy here," she said. "But I also feel afraid." "Afraid of what?" "That this won't last. That one day we'll lose it all again." Lulo nodded slowly. I used to feel that too. What changed? She asked. You came back, he said. And I remembered that even if things change, love stays. Zura smiled. That's very human of you, Lulo laughed. Maybe I learned it from Andre. The human base Ray prepared. A final report to Earth. She sat by her desk and read over her own message. Telmora is no longer just a planet we helped. It's a part of us now. We found more than life here. Found something worth holding on to. Something more powerful than technology. We found understanding. She sent the message with hope. Because stories like this deserve to be heard. Across the stars, other planets began to listen. News spread of the Deathworlders who saved, not destroyed, who stayed, not conquered, and more signals came. Not cries of fear, but calls of trust. And Earth answered with care, with people. With open hands and open hearts, one morning Zura handed Lulo a gift, a small crystal, warm with light. It's my turn now, she said. Lulo blinked to send a message. She nodded. To someone far away, to someone who may need hope the way I did. They walked to the message tower. Zora placed the crystal inside and whispered, May this voice find someone who needs it. The light blinked, and once again, a voice left Telmore, this time not as a cry, but as a promise, in a quiet field near the village. The two friends planted a tree together. On the small stone beside it they wrote, Even far apart, our hearts. Remember. The wind passed gently between them, and in the stillness their friendship stood tall like the tree, like the stars, like the story that would echo forever.